Are you saying, well, basically, does this mean that they're not participating?
No, that does not mean. What I read when I read.
But, you know, it was.
Clients. So, no, it's not. I wouldn't, why would they do it? Usually when we put out
Whatever you say.
they have to actually put out an
And so I was just asking them, well, so can it be at the meeting and anything? And then they said, well, actually, it's like, well, like opposed to what? Like, yeah, I live about me. Yeah, like, yeah, so, yeah, so anyway. Yeah, I was, I'm just being Parker, but you know what, I was thinking that would be so cool. If that Parker and another Parker is to make a park about the indigenous history of Hawaii. Yeah, you know what, I called the museum, but I've only lived here a year, and during the pandemic, I was like, but I just think, but the info that I read was that it was really in the fourth year. And I know what the American Indians are called. So, you know what the indigenous name is? Well, it's probably Lakota because Wayzata is Lakota. I mean, Wayzata comes from Lakota. But then somebody next door gave me a name, but the problem is there's like 40 long lakes in Minnesota. So which one is it? But I just think it would, you know, what I was even thinking. See, I don't know all this.
Good afternoon, let's bring this meeting to order, please. All right, welcome to the May 2nd, 2022 Parks Commission meeting. We'll start off the meeting by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand up. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. First matter of agenda. Does anyone have any thoughts on agenda?
Just for clarification, the agenda that we have up on the screen is an older version. So the current agenda has a 1A and 1B, which are the minutes from the last regular meeting, as well as the minutes from the last work session.
Okay. Do we need a motion to make that change, or?
Well, that's on the agenda, you guys. I just want to make sure it's clear for the audience that that is missing. The 1B and A is missing from what you see on the screen.
All right. Any changes to the agenda? No? Okay. I do want to talk about the meeting materials, which is kind of part of the agenda too. So there was a clerical error. I want to make sure everyone understands. Okay. There were meeting minutes sent out with the last page in here that showed the Summit Park with a boathouse on it. That should not have been in there. It is off the table. It was a clerical error by staff that they accidentally put that in there when they put this piece on it. Okay, so you can just tear that right out. I just want to make it very clear from the beginning, there's no proposal right now on the table for the rowing club. It's out of scope, okay? It was very unfortunate that we had this in the meeting packet, because you can just ignore this, so. Okay? Anything you want to say?
Nope, we used an old document. It had 2 pages. Only the first was applicable.
Okay, all right. So, let's approve the meeting minutes from February 7th and April 4th, 2020 work session. Does anyone have any changes to either of those meeting minutes? Nope. Okay, can I hear a motion?
Well,
Okay.
approve both the February 7th and the April 4th.
2022.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Right. Motion passes. All right. We're moving to public comment. We have what I've just learned on the way in here is that the city has now moved to a 3-minute public comment. Okay, I did not know that. I'm going to allow 5 minutes tonight, but going forward, it's going to be 2 to 3 minutes. And I asked that we not continue to repeat the same thing over and over again, that we just try and be concise about how we use our time. So feel free to come up, approach the podium, announce who you are, where you, your address, please, and
May I ask you to pass this out? I'm Jabbour, 985 Tonka Road, on Minnesota.
Gabriel,
speak up. I've been somehow feeling extremely unhappy about the way things are going in general, because the history that we have had is being lost, and the city has been extremely fortunate in the past practicing a certain methodology which resulted in huge amount of gifts, inland and other resources to the city. I personally given Bruce Dayton an award. It's a Bob Searle Award, when he finally did his last contribution to the land. There are many pieces of land that the city have that we couldn't afford or able to handle, and some of it went to the DNR, some of it went to Theodore Park, etc. When this issue came up about Summit Park, it really was a very volatile issue in the greater community. I mean, I know you, Brian, you said to a few people, only 2 or 3 people are disturbed. I could assure you, I was in Texas yesterday, and I got many calls. What are we going to do about it? And I'm here to tell you Mr. Dayton's vision and the restriction of the gift. I know you guys searched the deed, and I did too, did not show it loud and clear, but you have it in your hands. And I'm not gonna read to you, you all went to school, you could read it, but it's very eloquent. And it's reinstated again by the same person who represented him, which was our mayor, who's still alive, in a document here with you. The biggest issue here is he given it to the public at large to use. Despite of their residency, despite of their race, despite who they are. And when the city decided at the time to consider isolating part of that gift to a handful of people, that is violating his wishes. You will never, ever receive gifts like that if you do not think about the consequences of our action.
Yeah, there's nothing on the table right now
I
that,
understand.
where a small group is the only one who benefits from that park. But that's off the table.
Look, we don't remember our history, we have no future.
Okay.
You fall in a pothole, you don't drive through it again. I'm pointing out to you, you man-made potholes. So, and it's my 5 minutes. You can do whatever you want to do. I personally is extremely privileged to be able to access the waterfront in thousands of feet around the lake. This park served as a very unique attribute to our less fortunate community who has very little access to the waterfront. It's my wife with her as a single mom, with her 4 children, used to go there all the time. One of the children is graduating as a doctor from Columbia. That park gave them a purpose to do something during the day. So what I'm here to ask you is, A, I believe you should reconsider visiting your roots. Engage with your elders. Find out how we did this. Personally purchased Big Island for the city, but I personally guaranteed the sale. If it doesn't, I personally bought the color line and assigned it to the county. I did not close on it, I secured it. Things like that is very, very important to the city. We were the gold standard, now we're becoming the tin standard. People used to love, give us things based on. Mr. Dayton very eloquently said what he wanted done, and his sons and daughter, who I'm in contact with, sent a letter saying what they wanted. I could send you that letter, you should have it in your document. It's a question for this park board and for the city and the mayor of the city. Are we gonna honor their wishes? Are we gonna honor the reason they gave us this land? Are we gonna become a boutique, cute group using it? You, Mr. Chair, have the option to get Lafayette. You could, with a beverage of your own kind, you could enjoy that. But how many people living in those apartments and in that community have access to that? I no longer trust part of the government. I just took over the beach next to the marina from the city. A land registered it, and I gave it back to be a swimming beach only. Same thing we did with the Big Island with the covenant on it. Mr. Dayton later on did the same thing with the Great Woods. So are we going to be trustworthy? Are we going to be the gold standard again? Organized activity is not why I came to Orono. 50 years. I drove my Chevy Vega at $125 a month payment because of the serenity and wilderness I have. Fieldwood Park, by their own charter, 80% of their acquisition has to be preserved. I could have moved to Wayzata. I could move to Excelsior. No, I'm in Orono for the open space, and I really plead with you, ask you to reconsider the direction. Furthermore, I know maybe I'm shooting my tongue, you're doing the process backwards. You should sample the community to what they want and then make a strategic plan for them. The methodology you're using is extremely used today by most governments. They bring you in their beautiful picture and they actually like picture 1, picture 2, picture 3. I mean, you didn't even know if your picture was the right picture they wanted, just so.
Okay. We're gonna have to cut you off, but that's it. Thank
I
you.
appreciate the excellence, I'm grateful.
Thank you. I will say that that is great intro. That is exactly what we're doing. It's exactly what we're doing. And what you'll find out in a couple of minutes when we get down to that topic 8, the Summit Beach Master Plan. That is what the subcommittee has talked about, is to do a deep dive into understanding what the public wants for that beach, for that park. And that could be nothing, okay? But what we first need to do is establish a master plan that will guide us and future commissions on what that park really is. So, thank you, Gabe. Anyone else?
Good evening, my name's Hans Berg, and I'm from the Orono Park Legacy. That's a new name for Big Island Legacy. And we changed the name to be more inclusive to all needs of Orono Parks. And what we do for the audience, and maybe some other people, is that we facilitate fundraising for new projects in Orono Parks. We are a nonprofit, and some people appreciate donations to a nonprofit organization. We currently have 3 projects on the table. One is the Veterans Marker on Big Island Park. We're trying to raise money for that. The second project we have are raising funds for fireworks and some goodies for a winter celebration at the Orono Golf Course. And the third project we have is the construction of pickleball courts someplace within the city of Orono. We also are looking for more board members, especially somebody from web design. So if anybody has any interest in joining the Orono Parks Legacy, we would love to talk with you. Any questions from the board? You guys?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. No one else? Then I'll close the public comments first. Sure.
Hi, I'm Betsy Johnson. I live at 460 Long Lake Road East. I'm exactly right on the button across the street from Summit Beach Park, okay? And I think what we're all here tonight and what we've been here, coming here for, is we want to know that this is permanently tabled for this park. This is the only swimming beach park in Orono, and we would like to keep it that way. It's beautiful, and just like this gentleman, 2 gentlemen before me said, you know, we want to honor and keep this park that way, just the way the Daytons wanted it. When we purchased our property, they told us nothing would ever be built over there. It's always going to be a park. And I just feel like I've been to most of the meetings now, and there's just, you guys are not being honest. We want to know that it's permanently tabled, not it's tabled right now. Those words make us not believe what you are telling us, okay? That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Can I ask a question? Are you talking about the Long Lake Rowing?
Yes, I'm talking about a Long Lake Rowing Club
I just wanted to
And
make
they're
it
building.
clear that we're
My
not
house,
talking about.
yeah, my house is about 7,000 square feet. They want to build something bigger than that on this property, which would devalue my property. And that doesn't sit very well with me. I don't think it would sit very well with you if you lived across the street either. It's a beautiful park. There is nothing that needs to be done to it. It is fabulous in the summertime. The people watching is out of this world. It's so much fun. You see your neighbors, you talk to them, you see their animals. There are people setting up hammocks. It's great. But if that park, that building will take up that whole section where everybody hangs.
We're not looking at that anymore.
Okay,
That is no longer part of it. If you look at the,
We want to know that it's permanently tabled. We hear this all the time, it's tabled right now. When you add that right now in, it doesn't make us feel very comfortable at all.
Let
That's
me
the
just
problem.
clarify here. So we never sought anyone to come and use that, any private organization to use that. We didn't go out and look for a
Right,
rowing club, anything like that,
yes.
okay? They came to the city, not to us, they came to the city, okay? Anyone can come to the city with any proposal that they want. We can't tell them they can't. I mean, that is democracy, right?
Well, excuse me,
So-
sorry.
So anyone could come,
Yes,
they came,
yes.
okay? They removed their proposal. We have never sought that. We never were thinking about that. I mean, we didn't, so right now, that is completely off the table.
We just want to know that it's permanently off the table. That's a private club.
You'll have to ask
And it's
them.
not for, I thought you guys had control over this.
I can't say whether anyone brings us a proposal or not.
Do we need new board members? That's my
I
question.
don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help.
Hi, I'm Barbara Schmidt. I live at 50 Landmark Drive. I'm going to read a statement because I cannot answer any questions due to the mirror lawsuit that is pending. So this is what the Orono Park Commission will be known for, ignoring thousands of constituents, and there are thousands. Sure, you're getting your marching orders from City Council. But for an advisory board only to develop a plan with an outside consultant without an RFP or public hearing is unethical and dismissive of the very public you serve. You're end running the vast majority of Orono citizens by contracting a park plan with an outside engineering firm. 95% of Orono residents do not want their parks changed. Where is your data from City of Orono? And I don't just mean you, the Park Commission, but the City of Orono, where is your data that proves otherwise? You keep saying it's only a handful. Well, is there a study? Where is that? Because tell us. But from what we see, it's thousands of people don't want this changed. That's the last data that was ever done, last study. So why haven't you done a new study? That would be a great first step to help us understand what people really want.
100% agree with you.
But having another firm develop a master plan for a park we don't want developed is not appropriate. And it doesn't look good. I mean, you want us to be a part of this, then stop doing stuff behind our back and then just presenting it. Ask us first. Okay, we've asked you to stop developing land for niche special interest, and you have continued to do so, not only for West Summit Beach, but Lowry Woods and Beaterwood as well. You are spending funds on plans we don't want. There are several community groups that are standing up for our rights as taxpaying citizens to stop expenditures we do not agree with and plans we do not want. They are friendsofsummitbeach.org. They can be found on their website and change.org. Stand Up for Property Rights Big Woods Wetlands.org can be found on their website, Facebook page, and Instagram feed under Nurture Nature MN. And then there's the Turbine Guy on YouTube. Please ask your friends and neighbors to help us save Orono parks and our natural resources.
Thank you. Okay, close that section. All right, so chairman's report. I'm going to pass on this because I think most of my updates are in the committee reports anyways. Staff reports, go ahead.
Golf course is finally open. We just need the weather to cooperate now. A great stretch, but we're starting to dry out. Got our first mows in, starting maintenance practices, and working through seasonal staff hiring. Our new clubhouse manager, Kim's doing a great job. She's doing staff training, looking at menu options for the golf course, and getting a lot of groups, outside groups coming in. That's little kids coming in for lessons. There's a new couples league on Monday night, if anyone's interested. And then really trying to maximize our efficiency of the golf course. All our parks are transitioning to spring activities. So the ifs have gone out. We'll get sunshades over at Lurton, so we're getting pretty close to being ready for the summer. And then after a long winter, we're looking through a lot of our parks for tree maintenance. We have heavy loads of snow sitting on trees, so a lot of down limbs, making it as safe as possible. Soccer field, and we have 2 games going tonight, so it's up and running. We're seeing some nice recovery on it. It was seeded in the fall. As well as our baseball fields, Hackberry and Beaterwood both took a pretty bad hit last year. So we're starting to see some nice germination, should bounce back pretty nice. City docks will be going out on some of the access points. Big Island should be going out tomorrow, ready for use. And going through playground inspections for the season. That's it for parks.
You have some maintenance questions for him, or I'll move on?
No, I just said thanks. Any other questions for him?
So for my piece, for the city engineer updates related to parks, just a listing of project statuses, some of which we'll actually cover in the special committee parts of the meeting this evening. That says gold course dredging, but it's golf course dredging. That project is all but complete, less some restoration, which Josh and his crews will be doing at the golf course. So we were able to successfully restore the capacity of the irrigation pond for both its function as our irrigation reservoir, as well as its function as a part of our stormwater system, where it's for sediment settling. Big Island improvements. This is not the Big Island project that was completed a year or so ago, but we do have a small follow-on that many of you know. We had some additional donations come in for that park. So it's a couple extra stone picnic tables or concrete picnic tables that are on order. Will go out as soon as they get in. And then the other thing was some additional security cameras. We need to get some contractors out there for quotes on that. So that one is progressing. So the main thing we were waiting for was the docks and everything to get back out there so we can regain access to the park, which, as Josh said, will happen tomorrow. Crystal Bay Playground Improvement Project for this year. That was awarded by the council earlier in the spring, and we're working toward a May-June installation date. So it's the removal of some old playground pieces, installation of some new playground pieces, and rehabilitation of some other playground pieces. At the same time, shifting everything around in the park to have age-appropriate areas in each of the playgrounds. Lake access marking, we'll discuss later. The golf course drainage improvements project for this year. We originally were looking to go out for quotes and have that contracted. However, with the addition of staff over the winter, permanent staff onto our parks, Staff, well, we're looking now to be able to do that in-house, so Josh will be leading that project personally later this spring. And then the Summit Beach Master Plan, obviously that's a new one for staff that is being discussed this evening.
Great.
Subject to questions, so
How's staffing, seasonal staffing?
We're a little light right now. We have some college students coming in here in the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to that. We're feeling pretty confident with where we're at, which is good.
Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you, guys. I did want, sorry, before we move on, you did have we had a resident up here referred to her ongoing litigation in Beaterwood. Do you have any updates on that?
we're still in litigation. These things take a long time. So I will say we're right now in the discovery portion of that litigation, and the timeline provided by the courts, and I think agreed by both councils, will see this after going through the additional steps. But you're looking at trial date February of 2023.
Okay. So, just want to make sure that I understand that, and make sure that everyone here understands that there's a litigation going on, and that it relates to specific activity in the specific part of that park. Okay, right? It relates to mountain biking in the wooded area of that park. But now that it's getting nice out and people are going to start using that park more, I just wanted to make sure that there shouldn't be any impact on any of the teams using Beaterwood, right? And there shouldn't be any impact on anyone else, or anyone, including mountain bikes, using the wooded area of that park, right?
Correct. There are no restrictions that are directly related to any litigation.
Okay.
So the park operates as normal.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that too, what was going on. That was why I brought that up. Okay, cool. Any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, Adam. Gordy, or I don't know who's presenting it, Gordy or Josh, the name change.
Yeah, I can, so over the last year, actually several years, we have a golf course subcommittee that's been working on the direction of the golf course, where it's going to go in the future. One of the ideas was reverting the name back to the original, so currently we are Orono Public Golf, and the name change being proposed would go back to Orono Orchards Golf Course. That was the original name dating back to 1924. So Gordy's been working on this project for quite a while. Would you like to weigh in on just some of the background of it?
Yeah, so this just relates to tying into the history of the club and looking forward to the 100-year anniversary, and presenting the course in a way that has a little more, in my opinion, depth from a marketing perspective, but also a place that relates to an area that would be more than just golf. So for winter activities, year-round amenities, that kind of stuff. So to me, it seems like golf has had a renewed, has had a resurgence here in the last couple of years through COVID, and the course is doing as well as it ever has. And I think it's really important to keep people there and offer a fun, casual, affordable place to play for all ages, family focused, but also presenting some energy and some marketing buzz around it, so that we are able to keep people coming there, that the course does not fall back onto more challenging times that it's had in the past financially.
So since it's a city park, we would have to have permission from city council to change the name. So tonight, there would have to be a recommendation that it goes to city council.
Okay, and we've discussed this a couple of times. Part of our meetings and workshop, so no one's surprised about this. Anyone have any questions or?
When I first joined, Gordy was nice enough to pass around some history of the course. If you haven't had a chance to look into the course, it's coming up in 100 years. And some of the history was mind-blowing to me as somebody who's played the course numerous times and have no idea whether it's the clubhouse or just how it formed. And so I like this nod to give credit back to its original name. I think as it continues to grow in popularity in the last couple of years, it'd be great to get people to come back. So I'm supportive of this.
Make a motion?
Sure. I was going to say something as well. I'm new to the commission as well, and I do think it's important to honor history. We heard a little bit about that in a comment earlier tonight, and I feel strongly that that is a good thing. And I think we're true to the roots with a name change, and no problem with that. I'm not a golfer, but I do very much have respect for history. And along those lines, I can support a name change for the golf course.
Make a motion.
You want to make a motion? Sure, I can make a motion.
Okay.
To approve the name change to
To,
Orchards Golf Course.
second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. To make a recommendation for the changes of the name. Okay, next matter of business here is also related to the golf course. Josh?
Again, so currently with our food license that we have at the golf course, we can only offer prepackaged foods, chips, candy bars, things of that nature. So this golf course subcommittee has been looking at ways to improve the golf course, not just in name change or its playability, but what we can offer the residents and customers. And so one of the ideas was to expand the menu at the golf course. In order for the menu to change, the kitchen would have to change as well, so that we'd have to have wipeable surfaces on the walls, floor, ceiling, some additional sinks, maybe a dishwasher, just to get to the next level of food service, and that would, again, be a pretty limited offering. It would be pizzas, hot dogs, brats, but by doing a kitchen remodel, that would allow us to move to that next stage of food service. So the golf course subcommittee has been working with Hennepin County Health Department and different contractors, and what they would like to do is get an architectural drawing, a plan for the golf course, for the kitchen, so that they can start shopping out how much it would cost to do the remodel. And so with the drawings, then we would be able to start assessing the ROI on some of those food offerings once we know the cost of the work being done.
Yeah, I think, so we do have one architectural proposal. We'd like to get another one just to see what's available there as far as proposed arrangement from an architect. But a lot of the work that would be done through this effort is good work to have anyway. It would be drawings, as-built drawings of the building, utility locates, that kind of stuff. So even if we decided not to go forward, couldn't find an ROI on this kitchen improvement, I think there's still value in just doing this initial phase of the work. But again, this is just an effort to give a better value offering to people that are using the course, consistent with what you see at Baker or other municipal golf courses around. And this is just to get to the next level of food offering, which is frozen pizzas, pre-cooked hot dogs, popcorn, chili soups, so no hood or anything like that.
So we have not budgeted for a drawing for this year, so this would be outside the scope of our budget. So looking at next year, if any work were to be done beyond the drawings on the kitchen, that would also impact our CIP. We have several projects planned for next year, and those would have to be addressed to make up for that.
Well, we have yet to set the CIP for next year.
Correct.
Anyways, that process starts here soon. Yeah, so I did some analysis a couple years ago and was looking at some of the, but I don't know if we have any golfers in the audience here, but we have over 13,000 rounds being played a year at that little golf course, which is up from 9,000 in 2019. So we've got a lot of people going through there. And I don't know if, I'm not a big golfer, but you know what? When I do golf, I like a hot dog, I like beer, whatever. I can tell you that I was shocked when I saw that the spend per round for at our local golf course was less than $2 on food and beverage. Okay, so it doesn't take much to get over $2. That means a lot of people are going through there without spending anything on food or drink. And so we, a couple of years, probably, what, was it 5 years ago, we built that deck out there, which is an awesome place to sit. And I think the idea that Gordy and Josh are working on here is just to enable, you know, go to that next step to offer some additional menu items that will keep, you know, not any different than any of the local courses around here or around the country here, but just some hot dog and brat and maybe go crazy with a frozen pizza or something like that. So I think that's when we talked about this a couple of years ago, we saw that was an opportunity there for as far as financial opportunity that was maybe worth at least exploring a little bit deeper, to spend some money to get some plans and to come up with a quote of what a kitchen remodel would cost. And that's what we're talking about here, is just to get the information that then we would bring up later as a commission to decide whether to ask the city council to move forward with the actual remodel. Is that right?
Correct. So
Okay.
since it's not budgeted, this would be coming out of the park fund. Is that correct? So you would be seeking approval with city council to spend that on the project.
I think it's good to point out that I think we had a resident in one of the meetings talk about making this a restaurant, which it is, you know, not meant to be a destination, but meant to be an amenity for the round. It's a good clarification. I love the engagement. Both these two gentlemen have gotten us tours of some local restaurants, fashionable restaurants, inputs from experts. So I love the due diligence that's gone into this. So appreciate it. Questions?
I have a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or go ahead. No. I do have some questions, and I'm not a golfer, so some of these things may need to be, you know, explained a little more detail, because I don't understand as well the culture of golf. I can understand the idea of sporting events and wanting refreshments, etc. I'm going back to here the idea that I'm not seeing that golfers who use that course have been engaged. In other words, who are the people who are golfing there? I don't know who they are, and I don't know even if we had hot dogs and pizza if they want to buy it. Just the same as if we build a deck, are people going to use it? So part of my open question here to the group is whether or not it makes sense to get an indication from the individuals who actively use this course, because we do have time here, because we are not budgeted for this amount of expenditure, to understand better who is using this and how they're using this course. It is a 9-hole course, and I understand that to be half of what a normal course would be, meaning you're spending less time there. So I don't know if there's an appetite, as you would say, for hot dogs and pizza. I also think that there may be other ways of exploring opportunities to feed people if they so desire that aren't capital expenditures, like food trucks. And part of my hesitancy here in recommending this is that I don't see data related to this ROI, and this is not a small amount of money that's being proposed here. It's a lot. And my concern is that if this proposed kitchen is going to cost somewhere in the range of $70,000, how many years is it going to take to return on that investment, if ever? So there's just some open-ended questions I have here, and I would feel much better recommending this to go to council if I could look at this and say, well, yeah, okay, it's gonna be this much, just like we would if we were redoing our kitchen and our bathroom in our own home. But over time, it's going to pay for itself. Over time, people are gonna want these upgrades. And if people aren't currently spending, or if they're currently spending maybe $2 on food, I don't know if they're gonna want it, or we might not know if they're going to want to spend $8 on pizza. It's a small course. You're not spending as much time there, and with restaurants like the Mexican one in town here or Red Rooster, I don't know if people play, and then they go out somewhere else where they can get a full meal and not a microwave pizza. So this isn't a small amount of money, and while I can support a name change as a nod to the history, this bigger expenditure that we're not budgeted for is something I have a hard time recommending. These are just open questions. I also question the fact that we haven't had an open bid process for the work that is being done. The architectural drawings, to my knowledge anyway, we haven't engaged with other architectural firms to see how they may do it differently. For me right now, being asked to get behind or prove something that there's not a lot of data on is tricky.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you want to? She has some concerns. Do we have answers?
I just wanted to clarify, no, we haven't, I mean, that's what this proposal is for, is to go out for, to do an RFP to get an architect to do this preliminary drawing, so.
Right.
I mean, this is the beginning, so I just want to make sure everybody knows what.
Then maybe,
You know,
yeah,
we haven't, as a city, we have not gone out and engaged with anyone
Okay.
formally for this.
We've approached one architectural firm.
We've had one architectural firm assist pro bono, friend of a friend type of thing.
Yeah, Gordy happens to know someone who did the work down at the beach house in Wayzata, down at the Wayzata Beach. And so the similarities, I think, won't speak for you.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
think
they've done a handful of projects in this area, kitchen type project, but I think we should get another opinion, so
Yeah.
that would be part of this.
Right, and again, the assumption is that by doing that architectural planning, that work would most likely be done, because usually you don't engage with an architectural plan if there's not a true intent to do the work. So this is just, we can say it's just getting the plans, but typically we don't engage with an architect to come up with thousands of dollars of plans if we're not intending for that work to happen. So I guess my biggest concerns are it's not budgeted for. Let me start that over. We haven't engaged the public to understand if this type of work at that public golf course is wanted, needed, and I understand this is something that we don't want to be in the red with. I really do understand that. We don't want this course draining city funds. I just question the capital, the path towards this capital expenditure when maybe we haven't looked at other possibilities, and certainly, at least I haven't seen data on how it's currently being used.
On the, I'll just address on the food truck issue, those are, we've explored that, and those are hard because they expect minimums.
Okay.
And that is something, that we would require investment on our end to really stay committed to, that people knew that there always was gonna be food from a food truck, and they're not gonna, it's hard to see right now, and we've talked about having, certain events where we knew there was gonna be enough people, and then therefore you could, try to convince a food truck to show up. Even then, you'd probably have to subsidize that on some level just to have a minimum, make it worth their while. But yeah, and as far as getting engagement, I mean, I play there all the time, and my whole group of friends would all love that, and I would imagine most golfers would. I don't know that for sure. I don't even know, aside from just getting anecdotal input, asking people and surveys, but who's going to do that? There's a amount of work and cost to even gathering that information, but the point's well taken that it's not an insignificant amount of money, but I don't know of any courses around town that don't offer that.
That's what I was gonna say.
So, I mean, there's kind of also like, just getting to where everyone else is competitively, and, but it's gonna be a challenge to draw a very direct ROI correlation on how many hot dogs and how much popcorn we're gonna sell. But I I strongly believe it will.
You're out there more than we are. Do you hear a request for this?
We have, even over the winter, we had some asking if they could get a reservation at the kitchen, which we don't have. But yeah, I mean, food is always something that golfers are looking for.
And the other thing for winter activities, I mean, for birthday parties or for the, Santa, deal, I mean, just to be able to sell some chili or, hot chocolate, like right now, that's not something that they're able to do.
As far as the ROI, I mean, I'm a finance guy, so I get it. Okay. That we do need to do the ROI, okay? This is my ROI to get the information we need to actually explore the idea, is that if golfers right now are spending $2, okay, and there's 13,000 rounds being played, and we get them up to $4, and we get 50% margin, and that's a payoff of a $50,000 project will be paid off in 4 years.
No, I hear you. I hear that.
More analysis needs to happen before we commit to the project itself. But in my mind, that's enough to move forward with some architectural plans. That's just.
And regarding costs for public survey, there's a park in Wayzata, I believe, that has like a QR code at it that you can scan and give feedback on that park in real time. And again, we've been talking, or not we, I'm new to the commission, but the issue with the golf course remodel has been, and the kitchen remodel has been talked about for years, and in all this time, there hasn't been one survey. So I just go back to it, we can talk about costs, maybe surveys are expensive, so is this. So that's just kind of, and I don't know that I'm voicing the opinion of anyone other than me. I know a few people have had questions that they come to me with, but I just feel like it's a good idea to understand, like if we're talking about marketing, you understand what people want before you put it on the cereal box. You understand what appeals to people before you run with something. And it may be that people think it's wonderful, and trust me, I am all for projects that the community wants. If there's one thing I'm committed to, it's representing the people who come to these meetings and come here and take their time to speak. So I don't know right now if I'm the only one with these questions, but I think we've heard in recent weeks and months that the community does have ideas, they do have input. And my hope would be that it doesn't have to be either or. It could be that some time or attention is given to engaging at least some subset of people to understand a little bit better. Maybe it just gives you that people want burgers instead of hot dogs. I don't know. It just seems like data is a good thing when you're going into this big of a change. So, but believe me when I say that I am supportive of change and supportive of giving the community better places to spend their time. So.
Taylor?
As someone that has put on golf tournaments and gone to several golf courses for that, typically what happens at them is what's included in the golf tournament is a lunch. But typically what we would find is people were buying things, coming in from play, buying hot dogs, buying popcorn, buying candy, buying soda, over and above what they paid for the golf tournament. So having been around that, that's why I guess I have thought that this was a good idea to explore. And so therefore, that would be why I would be in favor of this.
I don't play golf very often. I when I do, I typically enjoy the refreshments more than the golf. I can say that about myself, but I had a question about, where you mentioned these architectural drawings would also provide us with an as-built drawing that we don't currently have. Is that
Not that I'm aware of.
sort of true?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we don't currently.
Yeah, we don't currently have.
So in addition to exploring kitchen options, it would also provide more detail about the building.
About the building, exactly. If there was to, if we were to explore other modifications to the building, that's the place you want to start.
What would that part typically cost if we needed to do it in the future for other reasons?
That part alone is probably a couple grand.
And what value would that use for later?
Yeah, if you wanted to make any of the modifications to the building, or, you know, redo bathrooms or kitchen, or take down walls, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's an old building, so, you know, it's a very old building, and so it does, you know, it does have historical significance, so, you know, I think that's important, but, you know, there may be a time in the future where it just becomes too expensive to preserve. I don't know, that could be way down the road, but, that seems a long ways off.
No, I was gonna also just reaffirm that I haven't been to a golf course that doesn't have these amenities. I think if we want to be competitive, in this marketplace, it's a good way to be there.
And I just think for, we've talked about events, being able to host events, parties, corporate events or whatnot, just being able to have something more to offer than, you know, prepackaged microwavable stuff is, so.
Okay. Do we have a motion? You want to put together a motion? Do you want to move forward? The motion is just for architectural drawings at this point. Right. Yeah. A motion to bring that to city council to get approval for architectural drawings for the golf course. Okay, I'll second it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Can you restate just the vote for the record? It's 5-1.
5-1. Yeah. Okay, next matter of business. Access markings.
I'll take a first stab at this, lake access marking. Over the years, we have identified a number of our lake access points that already have recreational value. People use them and the need to mark them. In the past, cities marked a few kind of ad hoc as situations or issues have arisen. What this project attempts to do is take a big stab at marking a bunch of them. They're listed there on the sheet in your packet. Back in 2015 or so, we established a standard for marking lake access points. The photo there kind of shows you what we tend to do, which is 4x4 posts, gray 4x4 posts with appropriate signage and symbols, depending on what restrictions or activities are allowed or not allowed in that particular access, and basically marking the perimeter of that lake access, so it's clearly defined where the private property on either side begin and where the access point is. A number of the locations that we have in this list are already marked in some way, shape, or form over the years. They may have gates, they may have bollards, they may have signs. So part of this project is not necessarily marking a site that doesn't have markings, but really to bring those sites to refresh them and simplify them. We've got several rusted out posts and signs and things like that out there that we'd like to clean up. So a year ago, as we went through the budgeting and capital improvement project process, we did identify and put $10,000 into the capital improvement plan to do this marking, and as well as some improvements, some of the gates and things need to be replaced. This commission also stood up a lake access marking committee. That committee has met, kind of reviewed the initial staff recommendations for which ones to go and mark. That committee is also committed to looking further down the road as to additional want additional lake access points that have some recreational value or have recreational potential, as well as maybe even eliminating some of what we have on our map. We have over 50 currently identified, and some of them, while they need to be retained as city assets because they provide utility or drainage, may not have an active recreation component to them, so maybe not something that the Parks Commission needs to keep on the list. And yeah, so I don't know, I'm subject to your questions. What we'd like to do is just take this proposal forward to the council to get approval to go ahead and mark these, and then we'll do all that in-house with in-house labor and procurement materials. So, any questions?
Lisa and Cameron were on the subcommittee, anything?
Yeah, went around, looked at a lot of these sites, the vast majority of them. As you said, many of them already have markings, and I do like the consistent method that you were proposing, just to kind of set some boundaries, make it clear of, that these are places that the community can access. They are for the entire community, and so I appreciate that. To be clear, we're not making any changes. We're not giving access to places that didn't exist previously. It is purely just bringing knowledge that this site exists, that the city owns this, that people can access it. Is there any additional maintenance that is going to happen with a marked site versus an unmarked site?
Other than just the maintenance of the marking, initially, no. But as we discussed, that's kind of the next stage of what we're asking the committee to kind of look at as well. What should be the standards for these? We have standards for how we maintain our parks, how we maintain our beaches, how we maintain our trails. We don't have a really good set of standards of what the expectations are for, what level of maintenance and service should be provided at these. And so, that's the follow-on. We thought the first step is, for those that we need to, let's at least go get the boundaries marked for this season, while we continue to have those discussions on, which other sites should join it, and what, if any, other amenities should be included at specific lake access points.
Yeah, I agree. That is something we did not get into. Is once it's marked, is there any special, additional markings that you would like, as you have on your placard there, whether it's for hiking or winter access, that type of stuff that we'll have to get into more detail when it comes. But this is great. I think my only concern on the list was number 28. It is currently a drainage site, and it's very steep, and they're going to do some improvements there. So if the plan is to move forward with some form of trail or steps, I'm entirely supportive of that. But if it's going to maintain a drainage, I think it's a little steep to mark as an access site. So that's my only hesitation for that site.
And just so the rest of the commission knows, we added number 28 on there because we do have an actual stormwater drainage project out there, a ravine stabilization project. And as we develop that project, we'll be coming back and saying, as we're doing all this earthwork to improve this drainage situation, do we want to actually include, a gravel pathway or some stone steps down to the edge of the lake? The answer may be no, in which case then we would not mark it as a recreational asset. But since it's a project that we're exploring, building the final plans for this year, then thought it worth leaving on the list for now.
For sure. And I think the last point, when I got my orientation from Adam and Josh here, there is a map that this map comes from on the city website that has over 50 access points. And as a resident, I had no idea we had so many community access points. And like Adam said, a lot of them are not navigable right now. And so clearly just getting a cleaner map, clearly identifying some access points, I think that's just going to help our community that doesn't live on the lake or might just be passing through to just see where those sites are that they can access. It's great.
I guess one other point of clarification, because you'd asked about the individual markings, the example there has, this is a pedestrian access way. So our initial plug at these is some of the ones that we're going to mark, we already have other known uses for them that are already established by council resolution or council action in the past. So whatever those current uses are is how we would mark those particular restrictions or uses. So There are some that are, you know, winter access only. There are some that are summer access only. There are some that we already have docks at, so they're, you know, for fishing and you know, paddle boat access or whatever. Whatever it currently is restricted to or intended for is how we initially mark, and then if things change in the future. The nice thing about our markings is they're standard, you know, national park symbols that we use. So it's just a matter of adding symbols or removing symbols as things change.
Would you be removing the big metal signs? Winter
That-
access only, swimming, no
Some of those,
swimming?
yes, so we'd like to try to consolidate our signage so we don't have it's just not an eyesore. Some of those restrictions or rules, particularly maybe like, for instance, on our dock sites, where we have those fishing docks, there's too many rules there to put on a 4x4 post. It's only 3 inches wide, so in some of those cases, yeah, we'll still have to have a more standard type sign that you find at the parks. But yeah, where we can clean it up and make it look neater for both people who are using it as well as the abutting residents, we want to try to do that.
No, that's helpful, and it was really educational, really helpful to go out and see all of these access points. I never knew many of them existed, and those are some really beautiful areas. And so I appreciate that this is happening now, because the idea is to continue to allow public access, even when people didn't know it was there, and put in literally stakes in the ground to encourage and allow people to access these wonderful areas for fishing, swimming, or whatever else. Also to help to prevent some of these disputes that have happened historically in some of these areas, and I think that's something that we haven't talked a lot about. We don't need to, but I think it's helpful, because the feedback I've gotten from some of the neighbors involved in some of these areas is that it can feel the words were awkward or intimidating that were used to me when they're trying to access these points that are not clearly designated as public land. So I think this project will really help to clearly define those areas and get everybody on the same page. And I agree that there needs to be some more clarification about what use each of these points has, whether it's, like you said, swimming, snowmobiling, winter access only, that type of a thing. So I've got nothing else to add there.
Any questions from you guys or Cory?
No, I haven't looked at all of them since I'm on that committee also.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's, you know, very advantageous for us to make sure we mark them. And the issue that you talked about is the issue that I found with people feeling very intimidated about using land that is designated as lake access. And I know earlier we talked about people using areas, and it should be for all people, not just for the people that live there. And as someone that doesn't live on the lake, I really enjoy going to those particular areas. And I think the next thing we do need to do is make the look at the other access places and then get maintenance guidelines.
Taylor, anything? Cory, good. Yeah, cool. Jan, Lisa, and Cameron, thanks for your work.
We need to make a motion.
I would appreciate it if you think this is worthy of us taking to the council for approval to begin. Then
I will make a motion, since I was on the committee, to bring this proposal to the city council.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, passes. Aye. Yeah. Okay.
I apologize, I do have to leave. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, Summit Beach Park. Okay, so, I have great news for everyone here. Okay. Did Gabe leave? Shoot, because Gabe had some great ideas. Barb, you and I agree with a lot of this. I agree with you. We need to reach out to the public. We need to get an understanding of what people want at this park. So that's what we're doing, okay? So let me back up. So let me talk about the master plan and the concept of a master plan. That's something that we didn't have in place for Summit Beach. haven't had in place for Summit Park or Beach Park. That is, a master plan is a guiding document, okay, where we take the input from our residents to tell us, what this park should be, both now and in the future. And when the rowing club approached the city a couple of years ago, this committee's recommendation was to do go through the steps of doing a master plan for this park, so that we had something to use when other proposals come to this committee. So a guiding document that says, these are the types of things that the citizens want at this park, and these are the types of things that we should stay away from at this park. We've gone through that process with a number of parks. We have some sort of guiding document at a number of our Orono parks. We need to do more. Big Island is a great example that has a great master plan in place. There are other parks that have a little bit less formal, but still, still a guiding document. So we've reached out to Jan and myself are on the subcommittee and Rick Carter for Summit Beach. We've reached out to a firm, Bolton & Mink, who has expertise in the exercise of going out and collecting deep, formal, resident engagement. And so, and that's what we have to share with you tonight, is that we would like to, we've talked about an engagement with them. We'd like to bring this forward to the city council. With that might be, I don't know if we need, Barb brought up earlier about an RFP. I don't know whether we would, we need to consider other firms or not for this work. But the work would, we met with them last week, the work would mostly be in going out and putting up QR codes around town for people to give input about what they would like to see at this park. Hosting open houses both here and at the park itself to get residents to give input, and users of that park to get input. Setting up other events around Orono where we can share 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 concepts, of which one concept is really do nothing at this park except for some maintenance things, and get people to react to them, get people to tell us if that's what they want, then great, and then report back to us, this subcommittee and this commission about what they're hearing from the community, and then work to the last piece of that engagement would be to put together this master plan, this guiding document that we could use now and in the future. Anything to add? Did I describe the engagement correctly?
Correct. I just wanted one clarification for the commission. So we already have a contract in place, which we did go out for RFPs for. And so Bolton & Mink is our consulting engineering and planning firm. So whenever projects like this come up, we basically issue a work order to them and say, give us a proposal and an estimate on this batch of work, which is what they have done. For small projects, like small engineering or planning projects like this, we don't necessarily go out for a full bid process. We've already, in essence, already done that. That's the reason we're doing it the way we are doing it. In certain instances, the council could in the past, say, oh, you know what? This is a big enough project. Let's go out and do a full RFP or a bid proposal. This at $20,000 is not that.
Jan, anything to add?
No, I just, want to make sure that you've looked at what we have here on this map draft. And that's what we're looking at to have recommendations on. That is very important to me because there seems to be some misinformation that we're just going in and, I don't know, redo the whole thing, and that is not what our idea was. It was to enhance it, maybe put in a trail or maybe a small playground, but there was nothing that we saw that we didn't want to keep this park natural and usable for everyone. So I hope you will look at that draft and look at that with the idea of feedback of what you, as the residents around it, see it. And what Gabe said is, yes, we want people to be able to use that are off. Like, this is for, I think of these places as for everyone, not just the people that live on a lake or anything. So I just want to clarify that because I got the feeling that people were thinking we were going in and just bulldozing it and cutting trees and doing everything. No, we're really looking at some small enhancements just to make it more enjoyable for the public.
Taylor, anything to add there?
I do, so. There'll be a theme here now to what I'm gonna say, as I did earlier, which is that we haven't surveyed the public yet. And again, I'm a new commissioner, but I've read, over 5 years here of park commission meeting notes. And I know back in 2019 and 2020, several of the commissioners who are sitting here with regard to that other proposal were saying, we need community engagement, we haven't engaged the community, and surveyed the community, and that was something that, I think there was good general agreement that was really necessary, was surveying the public. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And that's what Open Lake is going to
Right.
do.
Here's where I'm coming from, is that what we have here is not a survey happening first, it's a master plan happening first. The engagement with an engineering firm that specializes, and I've seen their website, I know they do a lot of big industrial projects. They're not, I don't know that I would say that firm specializes in public survey. And I know they do that as a component of some of their projects. Okay.
Yep, this is an engagement to do a public survey.
Yes, it's an engagement on a master plan for some engagement.
Which you first start with the public survey.
Okay. I would feel comfortable going ahead with a survey if it wasn't attached to, essentially what's already been laid out here is a timeline for work or scope of work preparation. It would be, and what I'm hearing is that from the public is that if we could have data, because that's what it's called, about what the public wants with regard to some of our parks, and then take that data into consideration for the master plan. But that engaging with a company to come up with a plan where community engagement is, I think, 3 months down the road in that plan, that can make folks nervous. And I just question if there's a way of engaging, if it's necessary, because just to back up, to my knowledge, again, we haven't done a comprehensive survey in Orono with regard to parks since 2008. It's been a long time, Is there another park survey?
We did a survey as part of the comprehensive plan.
Okay, on parks?
Yes.
I never did.
Okay. And.
2018.
2018, and
So it's been a little while.
was it general or was it specific to certain parks? parks?
It was general that asked questions about each of the parks that we had in our inventory at that time.
Do you know what it said about this one?
I do not top my head, no.
Okay. That's just the kind of stuff that I think is relevant here, because if the survey's been done 4 years ago, it's not current, it's not post-COVID or in the middle of COVID, but it's something, it's different. The one from 2008 was extensive. I haven't seen the one from 2018, I'd like to. I don't think that this is a case of nothing needs to be done here. And what I would say is, this park has been hotly contested for lots of different reasons, and it's clear that it's well loved by all of us. I mean, this is the thing, is most of us, I don't know if everyone here, but we live here and we recreate in these parks and we love these parks. So the idea that we wouldn't be taking into consideration essentially what's been a rallying cry and a continual, I guess you'd say, criticism, is that the engagement can happen before, the community engagement can happen before the engagement with a vendor or a master plan type of thing. And I understand maybe in some cases you need to pay somebody, and I'd say, fine, I'm okay budgeting. I would be in support of budgeting for survey, but not necessarily budgeting for, there was other stuff included in that bid proposal that wasn't just survey. So unless it has to work that way, I question why we cannot, with regard to this beach, I understand there's been a comprehensive 2018 plan, but with regard to Summit, because it's hotly contested, because we have people showing up every time we talk about this, it's clear that this isn't a typical park, that we can't proceed in a typical fashion with regard to this park. So I would just say, unless there's a deadline or timeline that I'm not aware of, can it be a possibility to do surveying about public interest, with this park prior to coming up with the plan for it?
So, I mean, that's what this proposal is to do public outreach. The end result is a report with some kind of recommendation from that process,
But
which
you're
we're calling a master plan.
Right, but you're paying the firm $19,000 to come up with concept A, B, or C.
Yep.
Yeah, and then public comments on A, B, and C, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a blank whiteboard where the public is to draw on it, if you will. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
In other words, can we spend money to get public input, because there's thousands of people who aren't sitting here tonight? Can we get public input first? And again, I have no attack, I think it's a wonderful beach, I go there all the time, but it's not about what I want for the beach or what just 1 or 2 or 3 or 30 people want. It really is about the community, and I simply don't, I know that I don't know what the community wants. I've heard a lot about what they don't want, but.
The 100% of the intent of this engagement is to get public engagement. Period.
Yep.
That's why we're doing this. Okay? So if you have some, we haven't started, we're at zero here, right? So if you want to help shape that engagement and work with them, or give feedback to the firm as we go forward, then that's fine. But we're getting into the how. I think that right now we're just talking about the what. The what is, can we get the funds to go out and engage with a firm to do this type of work?
Can I ask who did this survey in 2018?
The city.
The city. They hired it out to, or was it an online form?
It was an online survey.
Okay.
Okay, that survey was tiny.
Excuse me, I didn't even get the survey, and I live right across the street. And I have been living there since 2010.
Okay, we're talking about a general survey here, so
You're talking
let's-
about hiring somebody
we're
to-
talking about
to do
hiring
a master
someone
plan.
for Summit Beach.
Survey first.
Are you gonna take
Yeah.
public comments
So,
here?
No public
Well,
comment.
why not? I mean, what you said earlier was.
Excuse me, sir, you're out of order.
No, I'm just.
No, you are out of order. Sit down, please.
You had said
Who do you
earlier.
work for?
You-
What in the world do you think this is?
I-
You
No, I'm a volunteer, and I'm gonna,
You
we're
volunteer
gonna recess
for
right
us.
now. We're going to call recess right now. Thank you.
You had said earlier that public comments for things that were not on the agenda. This is on the agenda.
I never was informed of
This
this.
is on the agenda. I waited to talk because it's on the agenda.
I'm calling a recess until 7:30.
I waited because you said specifically that things not on the agenda were public comments. This is on the agenda. So I waited for now to speak about, yes, you did. I've been filming you. Yes, you did say that earlier.
I didn't say anything like that.
Yes, you did. That's exactly what you said, and I can replay it for you later. I did not speak earlier because you said for things not on the agenda are public comments. This is on the agenda. So this is a public hearing. Where else does the public get to speak other than at a public hearing for this?
You're welcome to come up.
I just have to try to, no, you said during the meeting. Look at that, folks. Turbine Guy talking. We're all live on the Turbine Guy channel now. Everybody saw that. Whatever's going on. So please excuse me while I talk to the audience. Now, I know everybody else here heard it, that he said for things not on the agenda is what public comments were for, which is why I did not get up during public comments. But now, when I try to get up and speak about something at a hearing, which is what we're here to do, they don't let me speak, and one more time I get gaveled. They sure must be afraid of the Turbine Guy out there, huh?
Yeah.
I tell you though, I got some things to say about what they're doing here too. Complete common sense things. But we'll see. That's okay if they, look, it's on the record. If they squash my right to free speech, you think the Turbine Guy is not going to have an audience to speak up about it? We are. You know what the whole problem here is? It's their job. That's what we have a park commission, and that's what we have a city staff for. We don't need to be paying Bolton and Mink $20,000 to come up and do their job. This is what their job is. Oh, yeah, they're playing games. Barbara, she walk a camera over there so you can hear people. Turbine Guy's gonna stay right here as long as we're live, folks. As the activity at the Orono City Hall one more time goes into gavel mode because the Turbine Guy wants to talk and have his few minutes. Now the question is, he said everyone's going to get 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Will I actually get 5? I don't know. You never know around here, do you?
Yeah, well, it's obviously, since they're changing it from 5 to 3, they don't want to hear from us.
Well, that's kind of my whole point for a mayor who ran on transparency. And all he's trying to do is limit public input while he railroads through getting rid of our fire lanes, ruining our parks, doing everything this guy is doing. He doesn't want to hear about it. That's okay though. Where's the lawyer? Where is Sormatic when I need him? He's not a good lawyer, but right now we need him. I'm gonna have my few minutes to talk. That's not what he said. No, public comments is for things not on the agenda. That's specifically what he said. I can replay it.
That's why they don't spoke.
No, they spoke out of turn for doing that. And he allowed them to. He should have said, you need to wait till this comes up. I'm not Brian Rowe, but you know what? I know how to run a meeting. And how he's doing it is wrong. Completely wrong. No?
I'm not going to get too.
I'm not either, but I'm gonna have my few minutes. Well, I will. Because it's my right to free speech. What else is this? This is a public hearing about this issue. What is a public hearing? This isn't a work session where the people don't get to talk and where the council or the park commission or the planning commission works on issues. This is a public hearing where the public gets to speak. And the public isn't limited to certain things that are gavelled out. When an item comes up for public hearing, the public gets to speak. And that's what's gonna happen. The public is gonna speak. What do I have to say that everybody's so afraid of? Really? What do I have to say that everybody is so afraid of? Words. They're afraid of words. Orono, Minnesota is afraid of words, people. Sorry, it's not just a 5-minute recess this time. But I guess I got them really discombobulated. They're probably back there right now having another illegal meeting, which is what these guys do. They're trying to figure out, how can we shut up the Turbine Guy? That's what they're trying to do.
Well, they did that in the public schools over here, or at Orono schools.
Really?
We went and spoke at the school board meetings, and they have now changed it, that you can only come listen. You cannot speak out about what you want for your kids.
Then why even have a meeting?
Exactly.
Why even have an open meeting if you're not gonna allow public input?
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in my school system. When I was running for Senate out here, I was standing on the sidewalk holding up a NIGARD for Senate sign and called the cops on me and chased me out. Even though I was in the public right away. Even though I was in the public right away, we can't have them there.
Oh, this is so frustrating.
Childish. This is childish. This is not how cities are supposed to be run. Not at all. Complete childishness. And Ms. Benson right here had many good comments that I really wanted to support, and I'm ready to support what she had to say.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely ready to
Well,
support.
why spend the money and
This is their
you have
job.
input?
Why do we have a park commission and a city staff if we're gonna pay someone else $20,000 to do their job? Why? Why are these people here? You gonna tell me that city staff can't figure out how to put a survey together? If they can't, why are they city staff?
Well, my question is nobody's ever come to my door, and I live right across the street from the park. I say, well, how do you know more? Is there too much traffic? Is there this? Is there that? Are they parking in front of your house? Are the people going by the rules of when the park is
What
open,
have you
when the
seen?
park is closed? What have I seen? I see everything all day. I'm home all day.
Right.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I see everything. I'm the one who calls the police when there's, a bonfire on the beach.
I was a stay-at-home dad for years, now I run my business out of my house. And I'll tell you two things. First of all, I did the same thing. I saw everything and I actually saved a few lives out on the lake. And I just happened to be home seeing stuff and facilitating people getting help. But being a stay-at-home guy working and putting up proposals, I don't get to get $10,000 to put together an estimate.
Right.
Every one of my proposals is for free. And that means I either get the job or I don't. We've already RFP'd to give these guys money whenever they want. Which is exactly what's going on here. Why are we talking about spending 20 grand when that is their job?
I think we just need to do another, and, with the access.
Well, they can arrest me.
Well, I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, then they give me a couple minutes to speak during a public hearing. Oh, what are they afraid of? I got words?
Well, I'm not saying they're afraid, but I don't think.
They are. You saw that.
I don't think.
He yelled at me and then gavelled me and went running away.
Well, just let me say this, my personal opinion is I don't think you're wrong.
Oh, well, I get to speak.
I don't think you're all being,
How am I hurting?
well, I just don't think you're wrong.
Well, if I had a chance to say the words I need to say, you find out I am. And that's what they're trying to prevent, is you from hearing those words in public.
I don't need to hear what you're saying, sir.
Then don't listen.
I know you're trying to.
Then don't listen. It's fine.
Okay.
No one said you had to listen.
Okay.
I think it's fine when people say, oh, you posted something funny. Don't read it. I've never seen such a gavel-happy city. Never in my life.
I think that we really have to start every and I would be it at Orono. This is the only time, this is the only beach. Well, all of the parks, yeah. But seriously, in Orono, this is the only beach. Guys, this is what? Yeah, digital. And that's what Mike is. That's Orono.
7:30, they're still not back. I could have been done by now. You could have voted, could have all moved on.
But anyway, that's kind of my main because you know what? It's American Indian month. Yeah. It just started, you know, and so a lot of respect to them and the respect to her. You know, that's where I'm coming from.
Now, can you tell me if I'm wrong? They were engaging you guys before I got up to speak? So everybody was being engaged, but then when I got up to speak, it shut down.
Yeah, Charlie was talking, and then, yeah.
Yep,
Then-
the audience was
then
being
Then
engaged.
they told you not to speak.
Right.
And then I said, well.
Yeah, and then you're like, come on, it's a public hearing.
What is the purpose?
What are we even here for then?
And the sad thing is that if there is a survey, I would like to know about it. I can give a lot of information just because I live across the street.
Yeah.
I'm very diverse. You know, I don't work, I just work at home, which, but, yeah.
You know what?
I shouldn't say I don't work, I do
When
work.
that event from the watershed was last Saturday,
Yeah.
I saw you walk out to your mailbox.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
We're back.
I didn't talk to you, and I was sitting in my car.
Oh, sorry.
So, and then I saw you walk in, it just came to me because.
We had plans that day. There was another, they were at,
Sir, this is a.
What are we even here for then? You were engaging with other people on the same issue, and when I got up, you gavelled me. So are you telling me that you were treating me differently than other people in the audience who was being engaged by the park commission at the time?
I would ignore you just like I ignored them.
You know that people were being engaged out here. Say ignore is wrong. I got it all on film. I got you gavel me there. Just give me my couple minutes. I'll keep it to 3.
Sir, I didn't give anyone a couple minutes.
You were engaged, people were being engaged. And you said earlier, and I'll pull it out.
I'm
and trust me,
engaging you
trust
much
me.
more than I've engaged them.
Trust me, there's gonna be a YouTube video that basically shows you saying what you said earlier than gaveling me. So don't worry about that. Just, what would people like to give me?
We need to keep going.
Let's ask the board. Can I have 2 minutes to talk?
It's not up to them, it's up to me, sir.
Why not?
It's up to me,
Why
because
not?
I'm the chair of the board.
Why not?
Okay, can you
So
please
you're
sit down?
telling me, no,
You
I
will have plenty of opportunity to give whatever
I
impact
don't
you,
understand
whatever
why,
input you want.
I don't understand why you are trying to spend $20,000 for what is your job. Your job and the staff's job is to put together surveys and to do what you do. To pay that money out saying that there was an RFP about it is ridiculous. That's not what happened when I was on the council. Something else that didn't happen when I was on the council is people getting gavelled for giving their own opinion.
You're about to get gavelled if you don't.
Go ahead, gavel me, and call the cops and do whatever you're gonna do. But the whole point is, Miss Benson's 100% right. You guys have the cart so far in front of the horse right now, it's ridiculous. Your job is to deal with the parks. It's not Bolton Manx, the same firm that decided to put a crappy road in front of our street with terrible water drainage. No, this is your job, it's city staff job to do this. Why would you pay anybody $20,000 to do what your job is? I mean, come on. This is what you
Please
want
sit
to
down,
do
sir.
for commission for.
That's plenty. Please sit down.
Please sit down, please sit down.
Turbine Guy just wants to say, this is so disappointing right here.
Please sit down,
Paying
sir.
money, gaveling, can you do it one more time, please?
No.
Come on, video wants to see it. By the way, you said tonight, people can mountain bike in Peterwood Park, and that's against city ordinance. So I can't believe that you said that.
Okay. Back out. Jan. You lost Jan, but we still have a quorum here, so let's keep going here, guys. Get out of here. I'd rather be home with my kids right now. We were in the middle of talking about the proposal for Summit Park. We talked, Lisa had some good input on which I agree with, that we need to get community engagement, and that's the number one objective of this engagement, okay? We can talk about how that works, but I know the Bolton Mink is the expert. I'm not the expert on how to do employee engagement, community engagement, thank you. And so we can, if you have some input on how that works, we can get to that. So I would like to make a motion to bring to City Council a proposal to engage with Bolton and Mink around a community engagement project that focuses on Summit Beach Park. It involves the creation of a guiding document that will help guide what we do at that park from now and into the future. Do I hear a second? I'll second. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we have 4-1 vote.
Ooh. Ooh.
Next
Give our money away.
is some work that Elisa has done around Castle Point Park.
I just want to say that this is a timely issue, and I just want to say that I do appreciate all of the commissioners for taking their time and working very hard to, this is not an easy job to do. You know, I've heard other people echo that sentiment, and I do appreciate each and every one of you for bringing forward your ideas and taking time to serve the community. I also appreciate meeting new people and seeing the opinions and perspectives and ideas and learning more about the history from the public that comes to these meetings. And it is my desire to represent our community to the best of my ability. So on that note, I'm going to keep this short and just say that one of my park assignments is Casco Circle Park. And because I'm new to the commission, because I don't know the history of that area very well, and because it was only a couple months ago that I visited this area and this park for the first time, I know that I have a lot of learning to do around this area and helping the commission understand more about how this park came to be and how it's used right now by all of us. So to that end, I have learned that the history of this park indicates that it's when it was formed in 1971 and it was donated, the land was donated by a consortium of maybe 10 different neighbors, which I think is an amazing testament to people's trust in their city and giving their land to be donated to stay in a natural place, so this park is designated as a nature area. Only it's not allowed to have, and this is what I learned, it's not allowed to be built on or have any pavement or structures built on there, and that is in the deed. And that was new information to me. So that is what I've learned about Castro so far. Like I said, I've been out there several times. I picked up a couple bags of garbage at the park. When the neighbors around there was nice enough to give me a garbage bag to do that. I found other things in the park that were really interesting to me, and I want to learn more about it. So in the spirit of understanding more about this park and being able to better inform and bring information to this commission, I have proposed the idea of doing a listening session at the park later in the summer, a couple months from now. We talked about a date. When I say we, it was Ryan and myself who is helping with this initiative in an effort to engage the community, to listen to the community, and to get ideas from the community, because I don't live in that area. I don't know how well it's used and in what ways it's loved by the people who do. So the listening session would be a time for me to be at the park, Brian, if he's able and willing, and any of the other commissioners who would like to be a part of that, as well as, of course, the community, the public, the neighbors, etc. So we talked about doing this session a couple months out to have time to kind of prepare and come prepared with our questions, etc. And also to give the community time to see what's ahead on the schedule, to not be caught unaware of a date. So we kind of talked about the end of June before we get into the July 4th holiday. And I know summer's tricky and a lot of people are traveling, but we identified a date towards the end of June, like a weeknight after work hour, for just a very informal time to make myself accessible and to really, I'm not presenting anything, I'm listening, and that's why it's called a listening session. So that's the idea, and I don't know if you'd like to add anything else.
Well, first of all, thank you for, you've really, you've taken this park, which we haven't, spent a lot of time, I haven't spent a lot of time in this park, and I know that you have, and I think I appreciate that, first of all. Well, Lisa and I talked about this listening session and really it's broader, it's about listening sessions around other parks in our system here.
Yes.
And we would start with Casco, and this would be a model that we could do at other parks here. So just for everyone, so everyone knows, but especially the commissioners, so what we're trying to do is set up something, a model that we can then replicate. And so, and even though every park will be different, every listening session, or whatever we're going to call it, might be a little bit different, but the idea is, this park here, especially is a neighborhood park. I mean, this, I grew up not too far. I grew up on Casco Point. I know that forever that this park has been well loved by the immediate neighbors there, and they've protected that park. And so I think that it's a good opportunity for us to reach out to them specifically and understand, how we can do things like control invasives and promote the health of that nature area. So.
And I'm no buckthorn expert, but in terms of invasive species, I know there's some of that around there, and I think it would just be a really great time to understand from that community what they like about it, what if anything could be made better, because that's what we're here to do, is to listen and hopefully improve.
So I asked Lisa to talk about what we have been working on. I don't think there's any to-do or motions that we have for tonight, but I wanted to introduce the concept to everyone so that we can think about other parks that we can do this in the future. And we'll, did we talk about next, our workshop? I can't remember next steps. Tell me what next steps are on this. Were we going to bring this up to the workshop, our next workshop? Yeah, okay, and start doing actually planning the event type of.
Right, and again, I don't think, I think like I said, to me, it's all about finding some really great open-ended questions, and of course, we won't know everything to ask, but to figure out what tools we can have in our toolbox to bring into this listening session and really try to get the best information possible in that time. And that said, speaking for myself, I'm always available over email or phone. If people have suggestions, ever want to reach out to me, that's always welcome as well. But this is more of a formalized effort and really a way to, I don't know that I call it a community event with all the fixins, but if you want to bring, a snack, that'd be great. It's a time to celebrate community. It's a time to come together and generate ideas and share. That's really what it is. And create, as you mentioned, this is something that could easily be applicable to other parks down the road. So.
And the input we'll be looking for from others are things like, should we be holding this in the park? Should we be holding this here? What if it rains? Maybe this is a better place to have it. Those types of things. So, more to come on that, but thank you, Lisa, for introducing the concept and telling about what we're doing there. So, all right, with that, I think that brings us to the end of our night. So, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Moved. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Appreciate that.
I started driving home in a different way, so I got course.
It's really great.
If you ever want to see a food store, did you see it? I want to be outside, but
It never happened.
I think so.
I really hope it's not So I'm over that part. I think it's called yeah, it's one part, but it's just a little part, and that's just like
If you feel like the same way about it,
a
little bit more fun. Oh, perfect.
Well, I mean, you should be on my yard. And I don't mind it. No, that's okay. No, I appreciate that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Data, contact with them.
I don't know that.
Fluid from France. Oh, Ireland. Oh,
But there was a class.